Namo Siddhaswarupananda Paramahamsa Nadinei Gora Karuna Swarupaya Radha Krishna Prestayate.
Namo Siddhaswarupananda Paramahamsa Nadinei Gora Karuna Swarupaya Radha Krishna Prestayate.
Namo Siddhaswarupananda Paramahamsa Nadinei Gora Karuna Swarupaya Radha Krishna Prestayate.
Namo Siddhaswarupananda Paramahamsa Nadinei Gora Karuna Swarupaya Radha Krishna Prestayate.
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Radha Krishna Nayanya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Radha Krishna Nayanya
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Radha Krishna Nayana Shri Krishna Chaitanya Radha Krishna Nayana
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Radha Krishna Nayanya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Radha Krishna Nayanya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasade Gaur Bhakta Vrinda.
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasade Gaur Bhakta Vrinda.
Gopala Govinda Rama
Krishna
Madana Mohana
Krishna
Gopala Govinda Rama
Krishna
Madana Mohana
Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mohana Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mohana
Gopala Govinda Rama
Krishna
Madana Mohana
Krishna
Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mohana
Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mohana Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mohana
Gopala Govinda Rama
Krishna
Madana Mohana
Krishna
Gopala Govinda Rama
Krishna
Madana Mohana
Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mohana Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mohana
Gopala Govinda Rama
Haribol Krishna
Madana Mohana
Krishna
Gopala Govinda Rama
Haribol Krishna
Madana Mohana
Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mohana Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mohana
Gopala Govinda Rama
Haribol Krishna
Madana Mohana
Haribol Krishna
Gopala Govinda Rama
Haribol Krishna
Madana Mohana
Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mohana Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mohana
Gopala Govinda Rama Mohana. Gopala Govinda Rama. Madana 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 Mohana. Jaya Jaya Gurudev. Jaya Jaya Gauranga. Jaya Jaya Gurudev. Jaya Jaya Gauranga. Jaya Jaya Srila Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Gurudev. Jaya Jaya Srila Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Gurudev. Jaya Jaya Siddhaswarupananda Paramahamsa. Jaya Jaya Siddhaswarupananda Paramahamsa.
Jaya Jaya Siddhaswarupananda Paramahamsa. Jaya Jaya Siddhaswarupananda Paramahamsa.
Namo Siddhaswarupananda Paramahamsa Naminehi Gora Karuna Swarupaya Radha Krishna Prestayate.
Namo Siddhaswarupananda Paramahamsa Namine Gora Karuna Swarupaya Radha Krishna Prestayate.
Haribol, namaste.
This morning, we read the pastimes of Lord Vamana Dev and Bali Maharaj. Ngayong maga, babasahin ko yung pastimes ni Lord Vamana Dev saka ni Bali Maharaj. Si Bali Maharaj, he is the grandson of Prahlad Maharaj. They belong to the category of the demon family from Hiranyakashipu. But Prahlad Maharaj is a great Vaishnava, Saktavesh avatar. And also, Bali Maharaj is a spiritual master. And sa example dito, makikita natin how we should be relating with the Supreme Person. Ano yung qualities, ano yung values natin, how we relate to God. So we can be very close to Him. Okay? Babasahin ko ngayon ha. Pero basahin ko muna ang history ni Lord Vamana Dev. Okay? First, the Lord appeared in His original form, with ornaments and weapons in His hands. Then, in the presence of His father and mother, He assumed the form of Vamana, a Brahmana dwarf and a brahmachari. Okay? Young boy. He assumed the form of Vamana, a Brahmana dwarf and a brahmachari, just like a theatrical actor. When the great sage saw Vamana, they were very pleased. Thus they brought forward Kashyapa Muni, the Prajapati, progenitor. to progenitor. Siya yung to bring up children, godly children, okay? Prajapati. And perform all the ritualistic ceremonies, beginning with the birthday rites. When they reached the sacred thread ceremony, by which Vamana formally took Brahminical initiation, the sun god personally uttered the Gayatri mantra. So the sun god, Bibasban, Saktabesh avatar din, spiritual master. Okay? Brihaspati offered the sacred thread, and Kashyapa Muni offered a straw belt. Mother Earth gave him a deer skin. The demigod of the moon gave him staff. His mother Aditi gave him a lion cloth, and the deity presiding over the heavenly kingdom offered him an umbrella. Lord Brahma offered him a water pot. The 7 sages offered him kusa grass, and Mother Sarasvati gave him a string of Rudraska beads. Kubera, the king of the Yaksas, gave him begging pot, and Mother Bhagavati, the wife of Lord Shiva, gave him a purse alms. Having thus been welcomed by everyone, Lord Vamanadev, the best of the brahmacharis, exhibited the Brahman effulgence. Thus he surpassed in beauty the entire assembly, which was filled with great saintly brahmanas. So when Lord Krishna came as Vamana, all the administrator of this universe came. The sun god, Brihaspati, Mother Earth, all of them came to offering to Lord Brahmanadev. Okay. So ito yung story, paano sinave ni Lord Vamana si Bali Maharaj. Kasi si Bali Maharaj, siya yung king ng universe. Meaning universe, lower planetary system, Patala Loka, middle planetary system, itong Mother Earth, may duality, may araw, may gabi, middle. Okay? May mahirap, may mayaman, duality, may araw, may gabi, and the heavenly kingdom. Siya ang king. Okay? When Lord Vamana appeared before Bali Maharaj and begged for 3 steps of land, the king agreed. Thus greatly disturbed, Bali's spiritual master, Sukracharya, said, O King Bali, the brahmachari in the form of a dwarf is directly the imperishable Supreme Personality of Godhead. So the spiritual master ng mga demon, si Sukracharya, sabi niya, Uy, Bali Maharaj, the person whom you're offering, who you'll give his desire, is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Accepting Kashyapa Muni as his father and Aditi as his mother, he now appeared to help the demigods and vanquish the demons. You have promised to give him 3 steps of land in charity, but when you give it, he will occupy the 3 worlds. You are a rascal. You do not know what a great mistake you have made. King Bali replied, O great sage, great saintly persons like you, being completely aware of Vedic principles, worship Lord Vishnu in all circumstances. Therefore, whether the same Lord Vishnu has come here to give me all benediction or to punish me as an enemy, I must carry out his order and give him the requested tract of land without hesitation. Enraged, Sukracharya said, Although you have no knowledge, you have become a so-called learned person, and therefore you dare to be impudent as to disobey my order. Because you have disobeyed me, I curse you to lose all your opulence very soon. So, kinurse niya yung student niya, si Bali Maharaj, kasi hindi nakinig sa kanya. Sabi niya, very soon, lahat ng opulence mo mawawala. Pero kung titignan natin sa material point of view, pag sinabi sa'yo, ugma, pobre ka pa sa kabus, ultimo ka na, hadlo ka, di ba? Hadlo ka, di ba? Kay mamatay ko ako pagkaon, di ba? Asa ko paingon. Pero si Bali Maharaj, gikurse siya, kanang gabaan ka, mawa na tanan. It's a great boon to him. Why? Babasahin natin, okay? Para malaman nyo, yung attitude ng devotee kay Krishna. O best of the Brahmanas, many men have laid down their lives on the battlefield, being unafraid of fighting, but rarely has one gotten the chance to give his accumulated wealth faithfully to a saintly person who creates holy places. So yun yung potency ng spiritual master. Wherever he goes, he brings Krishna. Inseparable siya kay Krishna. So where the spiritual master goes, there is the glorification of Krishna and the hearing of the transcendental pastimes of Lord Krishna with his devotees who are in this unalloyed state of devotional service. So the spiritual master comes, he brings the holy names. So in scripture, blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. In other scripture, you can read that, O Lord, save me by thy name. I will sing and praise your name. So wherever the saintly person comes, malalaman nyo talaga dahil he purifies the place. Because of his appearance, his activities, he's a teacher by example who is loving the Supreme Person 100% with unalloyed pure devotion. Kaya yung epekto. By his association. And association means his instruction, the wisdom that he gives. Yun yung Sat-Chit, transcendental wisdom that is absolute and eternal. It's about what real Sanatan Dharma is, religion. Your loving service to the Supreme Person, which is inherent in all of us. Now the question now is, how can we direct it in purity to be pleasing to God? Yun yung ginagawa natin to hear the pastimes of the devotees so we can emulate, not imitate. Alam niyo imitate? Kung ang spiritual master naglalakad may salamin na bilog, ikaw din naglalakad may salamin na bilog. Kung may tungkod siya, may tungkod ka rin. Na? Pag nagsalita siya dahil Caucasian siya, ginagaya mo rin, masi mag-nosebleed ka na. Oh, what do you mean, man? Imitation yon. Intindihan niyo? Hindi yun emulate. Meaning emulate, to see internally his action, his words, his motivation. You see that. And then you see internally how he sacrifice, he do the will of God and his devotion and meditation. And you pray, you see yourself. We see ourselves, how we fall far short. Because we are in a disease condition of false bodily identification and we are very selfish. The center of our life is coax me. But the devotee, you can see how his heart is simply dovetailed to do the will of God. His will is the will of God. Love. Loving the Supreme Person. Yun ang reason we are here. So we can now check, asa ba ko? Di ba? Asa ko paingon. Okay? So yung topic na wherever the saintly person, the whole place becomes purified. Where there is light, there is no darkness. Klaro sa inyo yun? Kung asa ang hayag, walay ngit-ngit. Pero para lang kung ngit-ngit atong huna-huna. So ang holy names, para maklaro, matanaw na ito, unsay na ito na huna-huna, og di na ito, sundo na itong huna-huna. So yun ang importance ng association with the saintly person and discussing the science wherein we can remember the activities of the saintly person. Okay. By giving charity, a benevolent and merciful person undoubtedly becomes even more auspicious, especially when he gives charity to a person like your good self. Under the circumstances, I must give this little brahmachari whatever charity he wants from me. Kasi nung na-meet niya Vamana Dev came into the presence of Bali Maharaj. He bowed down because he's a Brahmana, a saintly person playing that role. He has to offer something. And he asked the Brahmana, what can I offer to you? Ang sabi ni Lord Vamana, I just want 3 steps of your land. Pero kung titignan mo, maliit lang man siya. So 3 hakbang sa kaharian ni Bali Maharaj. So 1, 2, 3, gamay lang kaayo. Ngano dili niya ihatag, di ba? Pero mas deeper ang iyang insight ngano niya ihatag. Okay? Kasi very rare ang saintly person to come to you. And very rare that we come in contact with the saintly person. And association with the saintly person is association with the holy names of God. Okay? O great sage, greatly saintly person like you, being completely aware of the Vedic principles for performing ritualistic ceremonies and yajnas, worship Lord Vishnu in all circumstances. Therefore, whether the same Lord Vishnu has come here to give me all benediction or to punish me as an enemy, I must carry out his order and give him the requested tract of land without hesitation. To accept a spiritual master and to approach a spiritual master, one must be in a consciousness, in a state that if the spiritual master, if Krishna asks him to do whatever that contradicts his will, he will do it. So when we are not in that state, we should not approach the spiritual master and ask, can I become your disciple? Please accept me as your disciple. So dapat dumating tayo sa point na consciousness na to. Therefore, whether the same Lord Vishnu has come here to give me all benediction or to punish me as an enemy, I must carry out his order and give him the requested tract of land without hesitation. So yun yung process na ginagawa natin dito. To come to the point, to do the will of God, to give everything to God. Then from that point, we are safe. We're in the right direction. Because at that time, we make that decision, Krishna takes control. Okay? And what is that control? It's not putting you in the box. It is your love connected with His love. You want to please Him. Okay? Yun ang devotional service. Okay? So, sa una, meron siyang spiritual master ng mga demons. Sabi ng spiritual master ng demon, if you give him the 3 steps na he's asking, then everything that you have will be taken away. Will be taken away. Eh tayo nga, cellphone lang nyo, sabihin lang itabi dyan, panic na kayo, di ba? We're talking here about you, your life, your eternal relationship with God. And the first person, the right person to be emulated, to be followed, is a saintly person like Bali Maharaj. And his situation, he's the king of the whole universe. Just like previously, Prahlad Maharaj, his grandfather, was protected by Lord Nrsimhadev. And Hiranyakashipu was killed. Hiranyakashipu ruled the universe. Okay? He's very powerful. But because Krishna comes to establish religion for our benefit, so we can be connected in that world of transcendental relationship with Him and not be disturbed, He comes because He loves us. So we chant every day so we will be able to see with clarity our relationship with God. And we can now see how selfish we are, how self-centered we are, and in that state of consciousness, we have no protection because we're not all-powerful. And that is not our true natural position and function. Okay, no matter what you do, it's like there's a round hole, you have a square peg, you're trying to put it inside the round hole. Tingnan nyo? Musulod? Dili, di ba? Like what I said, there's strong wind and you're trying to fight the strong wind with your saliva, you're spitting at the wind, and it goes back to you. Understand? Sri Sukadev Goswami, although he is Vishnu himself, he knows, nakita ni Bali Maharaj, siya si Krishna, Vishnu, in that form of a dwarf, okay? Hindi yung dwarf na akala nyo kuba, He's the most beautiful person. So lovely. Brahmana. Kaya nga, describe dito, when he came, yung beauty niya, yung opulence niya, yung ambience niya, eclipse all of the administrator of the universe, like the sun god, Kubera, the treasurer of heaven, no? Brihaspati, you know, all the great administrator and sages, when Krishna came, he is the supreme sun. Liwanag lahat. And all na nandun, who are also small suns, mas lumiwanag because of Krishna. Okay? Although he is Vishnu himself, out of fear, he covered himself in the form of a Brahmana to come to me begging. Under the circumstances, because he has assumed the form of a Brahmana, even if he religiously arrest me or kill me, I shall not retaliate, although he is my enemy. Kasi family sila ng demon eh. But, demon, family ng demon, but he's a pure loving servant of Krishna. Okay. If this Brahmana really is Lord Vishnu, who is worshipped by the Vedic hymns, he would never give up his widespread reputation. Either he would lie down, having been killed by me, or he would kill me in a fight. So, the Supreme Person will always be the Supreme Person, absolute. He knows that. He is with wisdom. Sri Sukadev Goswami continued. Thereafter, the spiritual master Sukracharya, being inspired by the Supreme Lord, cursed his exalted disciple Bali Maharaj, who was so magnanimous and fixed in truthfulness that instead of respecting his spiritual master's instruction, he wanted to disobey his order. So, kinurse niya si Bali Maharaj. Nagalit ang spiritual master niya. Siya yung spiritual master ng demon. So, dito natin makikita yung devotee, yung real Vaishnava, Saktavesh avatar, pure devotee ni Krishna, will only follow the will of God. That in this case, this person, Sukracharya, who is the spiritual master of the demons, he denied. He did not follow him. But he followed his relationship in truthfulness to do the will of God. So yun ang tanongin natin sa sarili natin. We chant every day. We're given this process. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. You're praying, my dear Lord, please kindly engage me in your devotional service. So, when you chant the Hare Krishna mantra, you will be aware of your situation. You will be aware of your mind. You will be conscious of your true identity, and you can see what hinders you, what separates us from that relationship, what parameter that we should be, parameter wherein we are not able, we're hindered to carry on, pull on, to surrender to God. And that is the false ego. That is material consideration. It is about selfishness. So a pure loving servant of God is someone who has unalloyed devotion to the Supreme Person. Unalloyed, walang halo, pure. Huh? Kaya si Bali Maharaj, when he said, even if he kills me, even if he gives me everything, whatever he wants, I'll do it. Yun yung devotee. Kaya sabi ni Jesus Christ when he was crucified, because the murderers nailed him sa cross, and he said, Father, my dear Father, let this cup pass as you will. Into thy hands I commend my life. He's giving everything to Krishna. But he's so powerful. He can bring, if you look at the pastimes of Jesus, he can bring the dead back. He can control Mother Nature. He can walk on water. He can heal the sick, those lepers. And because he is a transcendental doctor, he can change people's heart through the sound that is transcendental, that is pure, unalloyed devotion to the Father through his life's example. That's why whenever we are able to come in contact with him, remembering his pastimes, and connecting with our instructing spiritual master in Parampara and our initiating spiritual master, then we can see the harmony. What will connect us with sweet Krishna? It is unalloyed pure devotion. So now we can now check what you really want, what I really want, what status I am in. So you can check it, okay? Truthfulness. Ano yung truthfulness? Dili yun mausab ka ng sulti niya, ihatag na ako. Akong ihalag sa imo ka ng imong pangayo. No matter what. Hindi niya sinunod yung teacher niya. Simply following the spiritual master. And that will protect us. Because for so long, we have been servant of the mind. We have been serving ourselves. Now, when this chanting of the holy name comes, it purifies our heart. Now we have this inkling, this prayer, this longing now that we can connect ourselves with doing what is pleasing to God. So the more we chant, the more we're inclined to give everything to God. And in that state, we are successful with what is transcendental and eternal, pure loving devotional service. So it is a process we engage every day, the purificatory process, the hearing, so we can check ourselves. Not judge people, it's about checking ourselves. So, and also to protect us from following someone who is not really the representative of God. Just like Sukra Acharya, the spiritual master of the demons. Where did the heart, the whole being of Bali Maharaj gravitated? Di ba may gravity? Nakatayo tayo rito. Nakadikit yung buong body natin sa Mother Earth because of gravity, the law of gravity. So yung devotee, yung buong buhay niya, he's completely 100% surrendered to God. So naturally, when he acts, he moves, he breathes, his whole life gravitates towards pleasing the person he loves, doing his will, Krishna. And when you are in that situation, you will experience there's nothing more to be gained. Because Lord Krishna is the source of everything that you see here. All the beauty, everything, matter, animate or inanimate belongs to Him. His power is inexhaustible. He has inconceivable potency. He's the most beautiful person. He's the most lovable person. That's why He's called Krishna. It's not what we have been brought up in our faith. When they tell God is a mystery, God is void, He's like air, you cannot see Him. That's not true. It is those people who tells us, who tries to preach about all this nonsense because they don't know God, they cannot see God naturally, and they have no love for God. How can someone who is not a lover of God explain about love? Intindihan niyo? So you must only follow the representative of God who is a pure loving servant of God. And the qualifications are there. That is the reason we can see the life of Bali Maharaj. He is our instructing spiritual master, giving us the guidance through his life example of someone who is completely surrendered to the Spirit, to Krishna. Okay? Although you have no knowledge, you have become a so-called learned person, and therefore you dare to be impudent, to disobey my order. Because of disobeying me, you shall soon be bereft of your opulence. So dito na yung promise niya kay Lord Vamana to give him 3 steps of his land. Sukadev Goswami continued, even after being cursed in this way by his own spiritual master, Bali Maharaj, being a great personality, never deviated from his determination. Therefore, according to custom, he first offered water to Vamanadev and then offered him gifts of land he had promised. So he gave him the promise that he promised, okay? Bali Maharaj, the worshipper of Lord Vamanadev, jubilantly washed the lotus feet, Lord's lotus feet, and then took the water on his head. And the water delivers the entire universe. At that time, the residents of the higher planetary system, namely the demigods, the Gandharvas, the Vijaharas, the Siddhas and Charana, all being very pleased by Bali Maharaj, simple, non-duplicitous act, praised his qualities and showered upon him millions of flowers. So wherever the saintly person is, the demigods are there. So wherever the holy names is being chanted by the pure loving servant of God, the holy names that has been passed on by Parampara, when we offer prayers, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees. It's not just you. All the demigods, all the devotees, the Parampara, when we chant, Lord Chaitanya is dancing with us. And the spiritual master is dancing with us. When we have come to the point wherein we have this pure unalloyed devotion and the chanting of the holy names with purity in our heart, then we will be able to see that. And that will protect us, because at that point, our life is simply to do the will of God, no matter what. To lose everything, it's irrelevant to you. Because you are with wisdom, with clarity. It's not something you don't know, something you're hesitant to do, because you're very clear. When the spiritual master tells us, follow this path, it's the path of wisdom, because it will direct you to the world of Vaikuntha, the transcendental world, where there is no misery. That is the reason, the main objective of all the saintly person who came here, the Son of God, to show us God's love for us through their life's example. So just by associating with a devotee of God, who is the most loving servant of the Supreme Person, we come in contact with God's love, because that personification of God's love is with our Gurudev, Srila Prabhupada. You know? Yun yung process. Kaya that is why we follow the bona fide spiritual master. You know, I have a friend. Why will my friend, my God brother, who is very wealthy, come to the spiritual master, to Srila Prabhupada? Because Srila Prabhupada relates to his disciple. He offers them gift, and the disciple offers gift. It's a relationship. Like you, what gift can you offer to God? Your life, your body, everything. Your body can be the garland to God, because your consciousness is focused, guided by the holy names, guided by that light, that everything should be offered in loving devotion to God. That it gives you strength, it gives you motivation. It is eternal religion. Is it clear? So, my friend, he goes to Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada is a traveling saintly person. No money, nothing. With just his clothes, and he travels. He doesn't own anything. The spiritual master is not someone who owns his disciple. He doesn't own anything. But because he's the representative of Krishna, he's protected. So he goes around to preach that we should be loving the Supreme Person, and he's the perfect example of someone who is under the protection of the Supreme Controller, Krishna. So when Krishna tells us, just surrender unto me and I'll protect you. Abandon all varieties of religion and I'll protect you. That spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada, is that perfect example, the personification of someone who is completely surrendered to the Supreme Person. So my God brother comes to him because he offering sweet balls like what we do in our feeding. We offer to Krishna, give to people prasadam. It's none different from the holy name. This person is very rich. He can buy even 100 candy factories. Why will he come to Srila Prabhupada and stand there in humbleness and wait with all the people lining there, especially when in the Philippines, all the people who attends the program of Srila Prabhupada, they all go first, and the disciple, they wait. When everybody was able to get their prasadam from Srila Prabhupada, they line up and wait in humbleness. Why will this person who is very rich, who can buy hundreds of candy factories. He's not a millionaire, he's a billionaire. Hindi lang hindi datong mini. He's very rich. He comes there in humbleness and beg Srila Prabhupada, and Srila Prabhupada gives him sweet balls. Why is that? No? It's a relationship. He wants humbleness to receive God's mercy. Are we there? We check. The holy names is there. What is our interest? Anong interest nyo? Maglaro ng laway? Maglaro ng bola? Matulog? So we can check. So spiritual life, our relationship with God, we should be self-analytical. Nasaan tayo? What is my relationship? Okay, thank you. Alam nyo, nanonood ako ng maraming kasal. I used to go to wedding rites, you know. And after the wedding rites, sabihin, they have this pledge of, hindi pledge of allegiance. Hindi pledge of allegiance. Ano yung prayer yung sinasabi nyo? Yung vow nyo na in sickness, in health, what will you do? For richer or poorer, what will you do? Till death do us apart. Till death do us apart. So, ibig sabihin yung relationship nyo, pag namatay na, umalis na yung mahal mo, halimbawa, umalis ka na, di ba? Till death do us apart. Yun yung material relationship. Yun yung relationship sa mundo. Kung halimbawa, nauna ka, lahi na mamintana sa imong misis. Di ba? Kung gwapa pa to, batanon, dagan mo duol. Parang bulaklak ba, maraming buyog. Pero pag maano na, iba na. Hindi na buyog. Langaw na. Di ba? The Gandharvas, the Kinapuras, and the Kinaras sounded thousands and thousands of kettle drums and trumpets again and again, and they sang in jubilation, declaring how exalted a person is Bali Maharaj, and that is a difficult task he has performed, even though he knew that Lord Vishnu was on the side of his enemies. He nonetheless gave the Lord the entire 3 words in charity. So nangyari ganito. Okay? The unlimited Supreme Personality of Godhead, who had assumed the form of Vamana, then began increasing in size, acting in terms of material energy, until everything in the universe was within his body, including the earth, the planetary system, the sky, the direction, the various holes in the universe, the seas, the ocean, the birds, the beasts, the human beings, and the demigods, and the great saintly person. You see, by the association of Bali Maharaj, all the demons there were able to see God's opulence. Kasi nandun man sila, nanonood. And then nakita nila how Krsna step. Si Lord Brahmana, pagtapak niya, biglang lumaki, one step of the land. Ang pinag-uusapan dito, hindi yung 3 lupa lang ng dito, hindi ganon. Yung lower planetary system, beyond our mental capacity to imagine. But there's a lower planetary system, Patala Loka, where all the simple living entities goes to those planets, especially the planet of Maharaj, to be conditioned according to the conditioning they had when they were living in this world. The mind that they focus, the meditation. So you go there because you have been programmed by material nature already. Alam niyo programming? Na-program na kayo ng material nature to be following the influence of the modes. Kung na-influence kayo ng modes of ignorance, saka passion, so na-program na yung mind nyo. Kaya at the time of death, you leave this world. You go to Patala Loka. Nandun na yung mga sentensyador. Kasi dito, kung wala kang knowledge, it's like this. You're trying to walk in this, parang yung mga baka, you have seen this malaking bakahan sa ibang country. Hindi ba malaking malaki? Hindi kagaya dito yung baka sinasakay lang sa hindi habal-habal sinasakay lang sa tricycle. Di ba? May tricycle kasi yung baka Doon iba. Naglalakad sila, kaya lahat ng mga baka, all the cows, naglalakad, galing sila sa iba-ibang lugar, ibababa sila, yun yung malaking slaughterhouse. Makita nila, oh, laking building. Laking building, naglalakad yung mga baka.
And then nag-uusap sila, kumusta doon sa probinsya nyo habang kumakain siya? Saan tayo papunta? Just follow the line. Sa dulo, nandun na yung matadero. Kung sa Philippines, ibang klase yung matadero. Pagpasok mo doon, pasok yung ulo ng baka, boom! Hiwain. Pag tuloy yung dugo, sa lurod. Baka pwedeng gawing, kung ano man. Di ba? Babay, nandyan na yung, So yung mga baka naglalakad. So ganun din tayo dito sa material world. Kung ignorante tayo, akala natin, kaganda rito. So na-program na tayo ni Maya. Kasi nagpe-play Lord man tayo, akala natin maru tayo ba? We're selfish, maru-maru ka, pagkadugay na program ka naman. Kaya at the time of death, pag alis mo, ano yung nasa isip mo, na-program ka, may material mind ka man, kailangan may karoon ka rin na material body. Kasi hindi transcendental yung consciousness mo. Hindi ka kaya ni Bali Maharaj. Inisip niya si Krishna lang. So what will happen? You'll go to Patalaloka. Nandun na yun. Iko-condition ka doon. And there are 8,400,000 species of life. Kaya magtataka ka, bakit yung ikaw ba, nasa human form ka man ba? Kaya mong kainin yung pagkain ng baboy? Hindi, di ba? Pero kung wala na makain, pwede rin natin kainin. Bakit yung aso, iba yung kinakain buto, di ba? At saka yung bulok. Bakit? Hindi mo kayang gawin yun, di ba? Pero bakit ganun yung katawan nila? Kasi na-condition na sila. Kinondisyon sila doon. Matagal ka ron. Yung living entity na na-program to animal life will be given now kung ano yung nakaprogram na katawan niya. Halimbawa, ano ba yung, di ba, yung mga desire niyo, magkaroon kayo ng kung ano man gusto niya, di ba? So yun na yun. Pagdating mo rito, condition ka na. Hindi na dalawa yung paa mo. Pwedeng 8, di ba? Hindi pwedeng, alam mo, ilog mo, iba na. Di ba? Oink, oink, aw, 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 aw. Pero living entity pa rin. Nandito ka. So yung naglalakad dito ng mga baka, pagdating nila sa dulo, unsa man na. Yung pala, nandun na yung high-tech. Pagpasok, lagay ulot, stun gun. Kasi ano daw yun? Humane killing. Dili daw sakit pareho sa Pilipinas ba na bunala ng ulo, hiwaon. Brutal daw to. Kaya dapat daw pagpasok ng baka at pagdating ng baka, itali, linisin, hiwain na magaganda, gilingin para pagkain mo ng burger, hindi ka natatakot. Di ba? Alam mo, burger. Di ba? Hindi mo na makita yung paa, yung ulo, na dinurog. Hindi mo na makita. Di ba? Pero bakit mo magawa yun? Dahil sa conditioning na mode sa material nature. Kaya iba yung pangamoy mo. Kung yung pangamoy mo, alam niyo yung wolf ba? Lobo ba? Anong gusto niyang amuyin parate? Di ba? Anong inaamoy ng hyena? Sa kanong lion, ng tiger? Iba, di ba? Kaya pagbalik mo rito, iba na rin yung ilong mo. Iba na rin yung ngipin mo. Hindi ka na pwedeng mag-toothbrush ng Colgate. Ha? Kasi may pangil ka naman. Para kagatin. Hindi na pwede yung kwadrado lang kasi hindi maputol. Kahit man na buto. Di ba? Yun ang conditioning dito. Pero hindi natin nakikita yon pag under tayo sa spell ni Maya. Habang pinoprogram niya tayo. Pinoprogram niya tayo kasi nakikipaglaro ka kay Maya. You're dancing with death. And it is sweet. Yeah? Ano yung sweet? How can I live without you? Yakap talaga, yakap. Di ba? Then you come back. Iba na yung yayakapin mo. Is it clear sa inyo? Okay? So nangyari, back to the point. In-open ngayon ni Lord Bamana na-open na kay Lord Bamana. Lord Bamana took the first step, the lower planetary system. He grew so big in terms of this material universe. Pag second step niya, higher planetary system na. Isang tapak niya ba? 1, 2, 3. Yung first First step niya yung middle planetary system. Third, yung higher. And he grew so big, sabi niya kay Bali Maharaj, sabi niya, where will I put my third step? Saan ko ilalagay yung third step? Pagtapak niya, middle planetary system, higher planetary system, 3 steps man, tulukalakang ba? Pero ang pinakita ni Lord Krishna, ni Lord Vamanadev yung potency niya to expand. Not only that, when He is expanding, all the demons and Lord Bali Maharaj saw God's opulence. Yun ang benefit when we come in contact with the representative of God. So, in a sense, we are all demons. So if we understand this science, we become purified from this material conditioning, and we're able to to appreciate a relationship that is transcendental, truthfulness, faithfulness, thankfulness, that we are able to do the will of God, to be able to negate our own will. That is the pure devotee of God. So at that time, even in this world, you are with Krishna. You leave this world, you go to Krishna. Kasi you're surrendered to Krishna. That is why we chant. We persevere. Alam niyo yung persevere? Magtiis. You know, austerity. Magsakripisyo. Yung ginagawa nyo, maliit lang nga yung ginagawa nyo. Magising lang kayo umaga, mag-toothbrush, kasi pagkatas ng kirtan, may pagkain naman. Si Bali Maharaj, he will be giving up his control over the universe by doing and offering it to Krishna. Eternally, we are all loving servant of Krishna. But because of material conditioning of false ego, we're not in that consciousness of offering our love, our heart. So dun nyo makikita, machi-check nyo. So anybody na magtuturo sa inyo, masisino pa man yan, Herodes o may kung sino pa man yan, na hindi in harmony, how you can do the will of God, you have to reject. Like what Bali Maharaj gave an example. Spiritual master niya, sinabi sa kanya, if you do the bidding of Krishna, then you lose everything. Doesn't matter. I lose everything, then what is inevitable in the future that I will also lose, He takes it away already. The burden is taken away already. Inalis niya na lahat. Yung load ni Bali Maharaj. He purified Bali Maharaj from ownership. Yung load na yon, mabigat yun. When you think you own, ibig sabihin ng owning, hindi naman yung mayaman ka na dato ka, dagang ka kwarta. Pwede yung consciousness mo, I own my child, my wife, I own this body. Yun yung consciousness ng dapat natin ma-purify sa sarili, sa contamination natin. And when we are in that state, then we can offer our life, which is, in a truest sense, eternally connected with Krishna. Because our life should be in harmony with His embrace and love. Yun yung devotee. No? Hindi yung maraming followers, daghan na kaita. Daghan na na-join sa atong group. Kusog na kaita. Na alang mo, hawa isa. Uy, ngano nagawa siya? Ano mangyayari sa inyo? Pag nakita nyo may umalis, tawagon, sultihan siya, dili mo hawa. Hilak ta, kapatid, dili mo hawa. Di ba? Ano man? Why? Because it gives doubt to your heart. Your heart na, bakit siya umalis? Di ba? Yung foundation mo nagigiba when you are not on a transcendental situation with wisdom. Kasi inisip mo, baka mali itong ginagawa ko. Ba't siya umalis? Di ba? So it put doubt in your heart. The devotee has no doubt because he's with light, with wisdom, and he's connected with his love like Bali Maharaj to Krishna's love. then you experience how sweet it is to love. That even though you lose everything, your heart is still filled with protection and care and love. That you are transcendental to this material consideration. You are not touched by lust, anger, and greed. So at the third step, sabi ni, where will I put the third step? Sabi ni Bali Maharaj, on my head, my dear Lord Bamanadev. So tinapakan siya sa ulo. So he offered everything. Ang sabi sa kanya, if you follow him, you lose everything. Pero ang hindi nawala, yung truthfulness niya. Anong truthfulness sa Bisaya? Matido na nun ba? No matter what, I'll make a stand to be truthful, to be honest with what I say. And in this case, it is transcendental because it's about pure unalloyed devotional service, unconditional love and surrender to the Supreme Person. So yun yung science na pinag-aaralan natin. The topmost science is Bhakti Yoga, pure loving devotion to the Supreme Person. You have learned a lot of science, but that science is all temporary, it's all relative. Relative means it is not eternal. What is eternal is about our transcendental nature as eternally the loving servant of God, and our action and activities must be connected in pure unalloyed devotional service. That is the reason the spiritual master comes, Parampara, the instructing spiritual master, to guide us. So it is a must that we only follow God and His representative. And the check and balance to check. You must be checking, analytical. Is this the representative of God? Not judging through his action. Because when a person speaks, you can know if he's a monkey or what. The moment a person speaks, you can know who he is. And the more when he acts. There was a time, I'll give you this example. There's this guy who speaks about holy, holy, surrender every day. Mga tao na hype niya ba? Alam niyo yung hype? Parang basketball. Yung talagang matapang na sundalo, hindi mo na kailangang i-hype na, nandiyan ang kalaban, matapang ako. Hindi ganun. By nature is tough. Hindi mo na kailangang i-hype. Parang yung, di ba nakita niyo yung mga boksingero? Ano makikita niyo sa mata nila pag lumaban? Di ba? Anong ginagawa nila? Hina-hype nila sarili nila. Tapos pakita nila yung tapang nila, titignan nila sa mata ba? Di ba? Like yung mga boksingero kagaya yung lumang boksingero na dating heavyweight na forgotten na. Di ba? Titingin siya sa mata mo, i-hype niya ba? Tatakutin ka niya. Hindi na ganoon. Yung devotee, yung representative ni Krishna, yun na yung buhay niya. Hindi niya kailangang i-hype ba? Talagang mamimiga ka, Diyos ko po, makasalanan kami. Paawaan mo kami. Tapos tumutuloy yung luha mo. Imbis na lumulod ka, gumagapang ka na, Diyos ko po, makasalanan. Hindi ganun ang spiritual life. Teacher by example. Yung buhay niya is in harmony with what is transcendental. And you being divine, a child of God, all of us should be, the demons of today should be the saints of tomorrow. If we follow Bali Maharaj. So now you have this quest, you have this choice. What will you do? Will it be me, I, me, mine, or Krishna? Okay? Understood? Truthfulness. Yun ang quality nun. Saka, he will never waver. He will never flinch. Alam niyo yung flinch? Kaya yung mga boksingero, ina-hype man nila ba? Yung hindi ganon. Kasi anong kinakatakutan nila? Matalo! Di ba? Unsa na lang na. Hambog kayo, pero usa ka banat lang. Tumba dayon. Di ba? Yung fame. Di ba? Yung reputation nila masisira. But Krishna, He's the most famous eternally. And the devotee is the most famous because of their truthfulness. They're able to make a stand. Hindi yung prayer, yung pagkinasal dito sa mundo, ano yan? Till death do us apart. Dito, hindi. It's the beginning of a life that is eternal. And we progress as we go along. And the more we progress, it is sweet and it becomes sweeter and sweeter. And you begin to come to the point, like Bali Maharaj, there's nothing more to be gained except to be truthful and do the will of God. That is your protection, your relationship with Krishna. Kaya masin, nasaan ka, wala yung makakita, dili, oy, wow, nakakita, maghimo ko dautan. Di ba? Kagaya nung, yung isang nagtuturo, lagi siya nagtuturo, ang laki ng binabayad nila everyday. Buksan mo yung TV. Dati kasi may TV pa. Nandun siya. About God, talaga yung mukha niya talagang fatherly, hinahype niya yung mga tao, yung boses niya talagang pag narinig mo siya, talagang mapipil mo, ma-hype ka ba na, God damn it. Alam mo? Ano? Mapipil mo yung ganon, alam mo? One day, nabigla yung, kasi sa Amerika yun eh. Sikat siya kayo. One day, yung pulis naglalakad gabi. Naglalakad sa gabi. Nakita niya, nga naman na, auto mo, mag-move man. Kung sana, duul siya ba? Pagkita niya, nandun yung nagtuturo, may kasamang 3 prostitute. Nag-circus sa loob. So, nalabas. Hindi pala, yung sinasabi niya, kabaliktaran sa ginagawa niya. He's servant of his senses. Pero panglabas, nandun. God. Na? At ending nun, send money. Amot. Sa gabi, dito. Di ba? Circus with a prostitute. Ha? So, ito, true story to ha. So, doon nyo makikita kung yung sinusunod nyo, hindi bona fide spiritual master. Halimbawa, sinusunod nyo, hindi pala bona fide spiritual master. Binigay nyo yung time, energy nyo. Tapos bigla na lang nakita nyo, nandun sa picture sa channel 2 na nakaharap doon. Alam nyo yung sa pag nahuli kayo sa presuhan? Mugshot. Uy, bakit may mugshot ang guru namin? Left, right. Tapos may naka-orange. May number. Di ba? Pag tayo, nakaposas. Ano ma-experience mo? Kung siniril mo, someone who is under the jurisdiction of the 3 modes of material nature. Dismayado ka, di ba? Wow! Asa tapaingon dire. Not only that, kung halimbawa, kagaya ng isang kaibigan namin, nag-join siya sa group, para makapag-join ka sa group, ibibigay mo lahat. Lahat. Kotse mo, truck mo. Dumating siya sa point na gusto na siya muhawa. Pagawa niya, hawa na ko, kuha na ako auto. Di na pwede. Gihatag na gindi mo, pirma ka pa sa abogado. Kaya ang ginagawa nila, you surrender everything. Because when you have nothing, you cannot get out of the organization. Paano ka mabuhi? Di ba? Kadugay, wala ka trabaho. Pero dito, sige lang, dance. Ang amot mo abot, dance. Amot mo abot. Di na tayo magtrabaho. Di ba? This is nonsense. This is not the real devotee. Look at Bali Maharaj. He is the king of the universe. Everybody bows down. Lahat ng administrator, sumusunod sa kanya. You know, at the time, Hiranyakashipu, when he is in control of the universe, before he was killed by Krishna, si Hiranyakashipu, si Hiranyakashipu, pag tumaas lang yung kilay niya, nanginginig na lahat. Bago pa lang siya pinanganak, yung mga stars na uhulog. May tremor, bad sign. Yung mga buntis na kukunan. Swerte ka nga, dahil buntis ka, wala si Hiranyakashipu. Kasi kung nandito si Hiranyakashipu, baka nakunan ka. So, ang point ko rito, we should get out of this temporary, miserable world, and the key is devotional service. The real, transcendental world wherein religion, Sanatan Dharma, is our true activities. Okay? Haribol, let's chant.
Haribol Krishna. Namo Siddhaswarupananda Paramahamsa Naminehi Gora Karuna Swarupaya Radha Krishna Prestaya Te
Namo Siddhaswarupananda Paramahamsa Naminehi Gora Karuna Swarupaya Radha Krishna Prestaya
Namo Siddhaswarupananda Paramahamsa Naminehi Gora Karuna Swarupaya Radha Krishna Prestaya Te
Namo Siddhaswarupananda Paramahamsa Naminehi Gora Karuna Swarupaya Radha Krishna Prestaya
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Radha Krishna Nayanya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Radha Krishna Nayanya
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Radha Krishna Nayanya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Radha Krishna Nayanya
Bhagya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasudeva Gaurabhakta Vrinda
Bhagya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasudeva Gaurabhakta Vrinda
Gopala Govinda Rama
Hari Bol Krishna
Madana Mohana
Hari Bol Krishna
Gopala Govinda Rama
Hari Bol Krishna
Madana Mohana
Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mohana Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mohana
Gopala Govinda Rama
Hari Bol Krishna
Madana Mohana
Hari Bol Krishna
Gopala Govinda Rama
Hari Bol Krishna
Madana Mohana
Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mohana Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mohana
Gopala Govinda Rama
Hari Bol Krishna
Madana Mohana
Hari Bol Krishna
Gopala Govinda Rama
Hari Bol Krishna
Madana Mohana
Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mohana Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mohana
Gopala Govinda Rama
Hari Bol Krishna
Madana Mohana
Hari Bol Krishna
Gopala Govinda Rama
Hari Bol Krishna
Madana Mohana
Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mohana Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mohana
Gopala Govinda Rama
Hari Bol Krishna
Madana Mohana
Hari Bol Krishna
Gopala Govinda Rama
Madana, Mohana, Mohana Govinda Rama, Madana, Mohana, Hari Bol Krishna, Hari Bol Krishna, Hari Bol Krishna, Mohana Govinda Rama, Madana, Mohana, Mohana Govinda Rama, Madana, Mohana, Hari Bol Krishna, Hari Bol Krishna, Hari Bol Krishna, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Guranga, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Guranga, Hari Bol Krishna, Hari Bol Krishna, Hari Bol Krishna, Jaya Jaya Srila Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Srila Prabhupada, Jaya Gurudev, Hari Bol Krishna,
Paramahamsa.
Hari Bol Krishna,
Jaya Jaya Siddhaswarupananda.
Hari Bol Krishna,
Paramahamsa.